I wanted to talk about Jordan Neely for a second. He's that guy that was on the New York City subway and he died, basically. So he was apparently causing problems for some people on the train. I don't know the details of it. And this Marine was there and put him in a chokehold and held him there for 3 minutes, and he was out. He died just like that. Tragic story. Really sad. I don't want anybody to lose their lives, ever. Anybody. Every life is precious. Life is the most valuable and precious thing in the universe. But I wanted to talk about the whole thing because right now it's kind of turning into like a culture war issue with Fox News. Guy dies. Fox News praises the killer. I don't know the details of the situation. I don't know what happened with Jordan Neely. Maybe he punched somebody. I don't think that's the case. To my knowledge, he wasn't violent in any way. But let's say he punched somebody. A guy lost his life. Why are you happy about that? Why are you praising the guy that took his life? I can't imagine that the guy is happy about this. You think this guy wanted to take someone's life? If he did, he's a terrible scumbag. Now, that being said, I live in New York City, and I ride the subway pretty frequently. My wife rides it every day. My kid rides it every day. In fact, the train that Jordan Neely was on, every day. I've been in these situations where somebody comes up to you and starts acting erratic and crazy. There's a woman that comes to the F train from time to time and pulls out a Bible and starts screaming that you're going to hell to everybody on the train, walking up and down the car, looking people in the eye and telling them they're going to hell because they're sinners and all this other garbage. And it's really imposing and intimidating and disturbing, and you don't know she's about to do something psychotic. You know, there are tons of people like this. It's a constant problem on the New York City subway. I don't know why people with these mental problems gravitate to the New York City subway station, but I don't know how to fix it. Something has to be done. You know, socially, I feel like there should be a better social safety net to help these people. You know, get these people off the street, get them into a home, like an actual house where they can get themselves back on their feet. Get them a therapist, get them medicine. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but the solution is not putting them in a chokehold for 3 minutes and killing them and then praising the guy that did it. Like, what? Somebody lost their life. How are you proud of this? Now, from a legal perspective, like I said, I've been in this exact situation. This happens all the time. But these people don't almost ever get violent. I've never seen a violent interaction from a lot of these, from the people that go up and down these cars acting erratic and yelling and stuff. And like I said, I don't think Jordan Neely got violent either. He was just yelling. And hell, he could have even been threatening somebody. He could have been saying, I'm going to kick your ass or something. He could have even said that. If he had, it would have been no justification to kill him. Self-defense is supposed to be proportional. Even if the guy punched the Marine, it wouldn't have been an excuse to kill the guy. It would have been an excuse to incapacitate him and protect yourself. But apparently this guy that did this isn't from New York City. He's from Long Island. That's like a rural area that isn't part of the city at all. It's a deep red conservative area that's totally separate from New York City. Not even in New York City. So he's from Long Island. It makes sense that he had no idea what was going on, had no idea what this person was doing, or if they were going to get violent or anything. And I can totally get why he would feel like his life was in danger or feel like he was being threatened. I get that, totally. I felt like I was under threat also when these people do this crazy stuff. But you know what? There are doors in every single car. You just grab the door, open it. Even when the train's moving, you're not supposed to do it, but you can. Walk through to the other car. If you're not comfortable walking through to the other car while the train's moving, wait for it to stop, walk out the door, and go into another car. That's an option too. I'm hesitant to blame the guy who did this because I know what it's like to be in that really scary situation where you don't know what you're doing. The answer was not to put him in a chokehold. You know how long it takes to kill somebody with a chokehold? About 9 seconds. You put someone in a chokehold, they go to sleep, they're dead in 9 seconds. He held him for 3 minutes. That tells me he has no idea what he's doing with a chokehold. Let me give you some advice. If you don't know what you're doing with a chokehold, don't use it. Okay? Anyway, I'm sorry that this guy died. I wish that New York City had a social safety net that could help. I don't know what the solution is, honestly, to the problem, but there must be one here. But that, none of that is any excuse for Fox News to be praising the guy that took him out, praising the guy that put him in the chokehold. What? They have no moral bottom, do they? There is no moral bottom to this organization. The High Safe says he was in a chokehold for 15 minutes. He was in a chokehold for 3 minutes. The interaction was 15 minutes, I believe. So from the that's my understanding. I could be wrong. Fact check me on this. From the moment he started flailing around and causing problems for people and scaring others, the timer started. But the chokehold was only for 3, I think. The Marine's been taught about the chokehold in boot camp and knew about overdoing it. You're probably right. Like I said, I kind of lean toward giving him some slack because I know that situation is scary and stressful and you don't know what's happening or what to do next or anything. And there were other people on the car that backed him up and said he did the right thing. He didn't do the right thing, but I get that it was a stressful situation and you don't know what to do when you're there. And sometimes, instinct just takes over when somebody is doing what feels like threatening you, even if that's not what it was. Hi, Owen. Where are all those televangelists before Trump, like Bullock, Kunneman, Kerr, etc.? Were they worshiping another Republican or what? Largely, yes. Kat Kerr famously claimed that she was sent to Earth to convey a message. She was sent to Earth by God to tell people about heaven. This is a little bit of a long one. It's like 6 minutes long, so I'm not going to watch the whole thing. But yeah, this is Kat Kerr from 2008.
This is Kat Kerr of Revealing Heaven, and I have to tell you about this revelation. You know what? Heaven is the most fun place you'll ever live in your life. Did you ever think of that? Most people, and including the world, think heaven is going to be so boring. They don't even want to go there. Most believers actually say, what in the world am I going to do for eternity? What is it going to do up there besides bowing to God? And
most believers say that? Okay.
Maybe singing some songs with the choirs in heaven, sitting on a cloud with a harp. Guess what? You don't get a harp when you go to heaven unless you already play one. Maybe if you want one to decorate your mansion, you might give you one. But what
mansion, okay.
What are you going to do with it anyway? The reason my hair is pink, by the way, I forget that a lot. God himself asked me to have pink hair for the reason that you will know heaven is going to be a whole lot more different than we thought it was.
So anyway, that's where Kat Kerr was. Oh, God. It's just ridiculous on every level. I love it to death, man. Yeah, I'm dealing with a whole bunch of copyright stuff on my main channel and on my unfiltered channel, and it's a mess, dude. I'm telling you. Lionsgate, the people that own God's Not Dead, basically stole $400 from me. Like, there were like that. I released a video that generated $400 in ads and stuff through the, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of views it got, right? And they filed a copyright claim. So I disputed it. They rejected the dispute. I appealed it. They rejected the appeal. And all of the money it made went to them. I filed a counter notification to bring the video back, but that money is gone. They stole it. $400. That is some right? The system should not work like that. And what's sad? That's not YouTube that did it. That's just how copyright law works. YouTube was following the copyright law procedure. Now, I guess you could say it's YouTube's fault because they should have held it in escrow until after all appeals were exhausted and everything was exhausted, including the counter notification. But the next step for Lionsgate, since I filed a counter notification, is they have to get a court order from a judge to prevent my video from going back up. And they have 10 business days to do that as of like yesterday or something. So in 2 weeks, basically, I will know if I can keep my video up. All that money is gone, but the video might get to stay on my channel. And this is more of a moral battle than a legal battle. Well, it's a legal battle, but it's a moral battle that I really care about. It's not about the money. It's about the principle of it. I should be able to keep a video up criticizing God's Not Dead, right? Now, they're doing the same exact thing to the 10 or so videos I have on my unfiltered channel right now, and I'm going to keep on fighting those too, whatever it takes. I'm not giving up on this. I'm going to continue fighting this to the bitter end. Even if that means I have to go to court to fight this, I'm going to. And as a matter of fact, I could and should sue Lionsgate, not just for that $400, but for lying, claiming, perjuring themselves. They perjured themselves on legal documents, claiming to have reviewed my video in good faith for fair use. And I established in this paper that they, in fact, knew that it was covered under fair use because they've done this exact thing before to other people. And I even cited examples where it went to court back in 2009. They did this exact thing and lost the case. So they did it in bad faith. They did not review my video with fair use exceptions in mind, in good faith. And, they opened themselves up to liability. I could sue them for punitive damages, not just the $400 they took, but for perjuring themselves and for, I don't know what the technical term is, but lying and claiming they did it in good faith and they in fact did not. So anyway, I don't know. It's really, really frustrating to me. I have about probably 6 months worth of appeals to go before I can release the rest of the God's Not Dead series on my Unfiltered channel, but I'm doing it. I'm going all the way. I am exhausting every dispute, appeal, and counter notification that I need to release these criticisms of God's Not Dead. I don't give a shit. Budman Buds, welcome. Progressive parents should give in, let the Bible in schools, and absolutely insist that the story of Lot's daughters be presented to all grades in detail. P.S. Been busy. Glad to catch you again, Owen. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, well, you say that in jest, but they might actually do it. Like, they're always talking about graphic material in classrooms, right?
We want the radical ideology into our classroom that pushes gender theory, that pushes graphic porn in order to perform a social experiment on our kids. Or...
So they're always claiming that there's this graphic content in schools, gender ideology, and even pole dancing.
On day one, the sexualization of our kids, pole dancing, and all this other crap that's going on will be forbidden in our schools.
Like, this stuff has been present in the Bible since day one. The story of Lot's daughters, for example. Like, wow, dude, that is... And the Song of Solomon? Oh, my God, some of that stuff is vivid. And they're perfectly fine with kids sitting down and reading that bad boy. Just sit down at that table there and read it cover to cover, that whole Bible, including those parts. They have no problem with the occasional deeply graphic bits in certain books. It's just your books that they don't like, really. And honestly, there shouldn't be graphic stuff imposed on kids, period, ever. There should never, ever be any kind of graphic material imposed on kids. Now, as you'll come to find, as you, raise a kid of your own, when they get to their teen years, they're going to find new interests. By the time they're probably 10 years old, they'll most likely know if they're gay or straight or trans or whatever, almost certainly, because they go through these experiences where, 8-year-old kids, how many girlfriends or boyfriends did you have in elementary school? Lots, I'd be willing to bet. I mean, I didn't have any. I was a Jehovah's Witness, and Jehovah's Witnesses were forbidden from having girlfriends or boyfriends in elementary school. But, I knew kids that had 6 girlfriends in elementary school. You just burn right through them. Kids are learning about who they're interested in being with, who they have crushes on and stuff, all the way back in elementary school. You probably know if you're gay or straight by the time you're in elementary school, and if not then, certainly by the age of 12, you're at the very least having these feelings. Now, if you want to explore this and understand what's going on in your life and in your mind and connect with other people that have these experiences and stuff, you can go to the library and pick up a book about it. And that's perfectly fine. Imposing these ideas, imposing this stuff on kids, when it's not welcome, that's a totally separate situation. But that's not what books in a library are doing. They're just there for kids to read. And Republicans like Ryan Walters or like our old buddy Doug Mastriano here are desperate to remove that lifeline from kids who may need it. Kids that are exposed to anything sexual before a certain age, it's damaging to them. It's scarring to them. It's bad. So I think that it's somewhere in the range of it's like a a logarithmic curve. So it starts out really, really damaging, scarring, and dangerous all the way up here. And at 15, I think it starts trending down, less damaging, less scarring as time goes on. 16, 17, 18, keeps going down on a trend. Now, you should just, I feel like 18, honestly, is too young, but I feel like it's more an age gap problem than an age thing after the age of 15. It's more an age gap problem, If you're 2 years separate, then you shouldn't be with each other. Certainly not if you're under 18. My wife is like 28 now, I think, and I'm 32, so that age gap is pretty big, but we're closer in age and we're older, so it's not as big of a deal as you get older. But exposing kids to things like that at a young age is bad and scarring. But like I said before, kids know if they're gay or trans or whatever by the age of 10, 11, 12 years old, even earlier sometimes. If they seek this stuff out, these books about a gay kid, to try to relate and understand what's going on with their mind and their feelings in their lives or whatever, that's perfectly fine. Those books should be available for kids to pick up so that they can relate and learn and understand and figure it out. They shouldn't be exposed to it by somebody, but it should be available for them if they need it, basically. That's the way that I see it. Federal age of consent should be 18, and if one party's above 21, they both have to be. I could agree with that, I think. I think generally the rule that I follow, not as like a law, but just as a rule or whatever, is half of your age plus 7 is okay. So I'm like 32, I think. So half my age would be 16, add 7 to that, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I could date a 23-year-old, and it would be weird, but it wouldn't be like, oh my God, that's awful. Like I said, my wife's like 28 or 29, I think, so doesn't really apply to me anyways. But yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. 18 divided by 2 plus 7, that's 9 plus 7, 16. So 16-year-old can date an 18-year-old, and it's a little close, but it's okay. That's the bottom of the line, though, right? Guaranteed parents complained about curriculum not including the George Washington cherry tree myth or New Israel myth the fundies lay out. Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm sure of it. Yeah, that New Israel thing, apparently, like, these fundamentalist Christian extremists claim that the founding fathers came from Israel up and over the Caucasus Mountains from one of the tribes of Israel, and that makes them real, Jewish people. They formed a new covenant with God in America called New Israel. So, yeah, it's just like this extremist, unhinged from reality idea that America is in a new covenant with Yahweh and Donald Trump is the new Messiah. He's the new Jesus of America. It's just crazy, dude. Just crazy. Anyway, thanks for the super chat there. But that's Christian nationalism. That's what a lot of these people believe, Dizzy, hey, a JW knocked on my door 3 times today. Went out, and they read me Revelation 21, 3, and 4. Gave me a pamphlet, Will Suffering End, lol. Advice, my JW friend might know them, so don't want to be rude. That makes sense. I get that. Yeah, I don't like being rude to Jehovah's Witnesses either. I was one of those people knocking on doors at one point, Like, it's not fair to call these people stupid or whatever. They're not. They're not stupid. I was in that exact situation. I wasn't stupid then. I'm not stupid now. That's a really pervasive myth about religious people, that they're stupid or gullible or whatever. This is simply not the case. I mean, they're just like everybody else. They just got pulled into a belief system, I want to take a look at Revelation 21, 3, and 4 since you mentioned it. It says here, and I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They'll be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Neither will there be death, nor pain, nor outcry, nor mourning. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I remember that verse. Yeah, that's a popular one to be read by Jehovah's Witnesses. Neither will mourning nor pain be anymore. The former things have passed away. Something to that effect. Yep. Emotional manipulation, that's how it goes. And again, that's not the fault of the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's just like, they're just repeating verbatim exactly what the organization tells them to say. I get it. I did it too. I quoted that verse 1 billion times. I totally get it. It's just you got to see it for what it is. You know, they're doing this for a reason, to pull you into the religion, for better or worse. You know, there's a book called When Prophecy Fails by Leon Festinger, and in that book, he outlined what cognitive dissonance is and how it operates and qualities about it and stuff. He studied cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is basically like a stress that exists in your mind, like an anxiety that gnaws at you and won't go away. And one of the ways to push it away, to ignore it, to alleviate that anxiety is to evangelize and bring in new believers, bring in more people who agree with you. And being proven unequivocally wrong, when somebody is really truly dealing with cognitive dissonance, like real cognitive dissonance, being proven wrong reinforces the belief, makes you want to accept it even harder and convince even more people that you were right all along, even though you were obviously wrong. Giving them evidence could also create the backfire effect, where they just shut down when they hear something critical about their beliefs. They don't want to believe it. They just, remove themselves from the situation, turn their mind off, basically. A good way of doing it might be to ask them non-confrontational questions. If you're right, I want to be right too. Let's talk about it. Let's figure this out together. I want to arrive to the same conclusions that you are. I want to understand your headspace. Show it to me. Be open to understanding in a similar way to how one of their converts might sound. If you are open about the things that, if you're open to hearing what they have to say, they might see an opportunity to alleviate that stress that is cognitive dissonance.